It says Spark Box. Heritage Machine Works Incorporated, Wellman, Iowa. The EK alternative, that's trademarked, and then it's got heritagemachine-works.com. We're going to put this EK alternative, we're going to put this right there where that one's at. I'll show you something before we do this installation. I think the way we started this thing the last time, if you remember, all I done is poke my finger in that hole in that carburetor after I turned this knob 1/4 of a turn. I'm going to come around there and get it right, I think. A 1/2 a turn is from here to there. 1/4 is right there, meaning this way. Gas tank's full. That's that check valve I went up and run that there fire bank's on. We'll start about right there with that amount of turn right there. Intake's free, exhaust is free. Right here is that spark lever. Look it up, you'll know what it's for. Poke your finger, I do. No advice to you to do it. I poke my finger in that carburetor and I turn the engine over. It's got a lot of compression, so if you just get it up there and wait on it. Okay, see, I didn't get nothing right there. So this engine wouldn't run right there. It didn't get it all the way up that line right there. So I have to do that again. Actually, I lied. It wanted to start. Let's just see if it will. Right here, that's that retard lever right there. Goes into up position. We gotta have fuel coming out here before this engine starts. So I'm going to turn it over with my finger stuck in that right there. I had no advice to you to do that. We got a little fuel right yonder. So we have fuel at the end of the check valve. Then the lever goes down into run position. This engine, being hooked to that mud pump right there, is, it's underpowered. Not as it would be if it had the water or sludge going to it. But just to start the engine up this time now was to set the stage, so to speak. Intentions being, I'm going to remove this ek-magneto right here. Take it away from the machine. And then we're going to bolt that ek alternative right up there. And we're going to adjust it. And we're going to run this engine on it. In order to preserve the carburetor needle setting, I'm going to shut the engine down. Okay, I don't think this works on this magneto. We'll see. See, that's non-functioning. You're supposed to be able to push that in and ground them out. So all I'm going to do is to hold this lever down and keep it from tripping the magneto. Engine comes to a halt. we have the same needle valve setting. Now let's take this EK off and put that alternative on there. Boy, that's pretty shabby wire right there. That was pretty tight. This is pretty tight. Actually now, if I just kind of go ahead and just converse, and to make this kind of easy right here, before we take them bolts out, we can verify a few things that we can test on that EK alternative on the get-go. And this maybe what a type 2 I think this mechanism is. It differs quite a bit from the McCormick Dairy International Type M. This is quite different. Protect your spring right there that it don't fly out there and get gone at some point in time when you relieve that pressure on there. I mean, you'll learn that real quick. But all I'm doing is removing these 2 bolts in the back here. And they do look really, really long. That was a top one right there. A nice, that's a one of them crown-headed bolts. And kind of just, yeah, I would like to get that out of there with my fingers, but it don't seem to be tight, but it has a little tension on it. So if you find that place of neutrality, you know, they'll screw right out, but put it in a bind. I do like these kind of bolts right here. It's got them. Now let's set this aside and we'll talk about that original stuff. One perfectly good ek-magneto removed from an engine. I know what you're thinking. Why would he do that? And the reasoning being is this spark box right here. I'm gonna remove this bottom. Well, no, I'm just gonna loosen it up. That bottom screw right there, I'm gonna loosen it pretty good, and then I'm gonna loosen this up in the top. And let's see. Yeah, you pull that out and raise up on that, and it's got some stuff right here inside this label that's pretty important. You should read that. But, you know, that's what it looks like in there. I mean, it's meant to be worked on, so let's bolt it on there. And the reason I want to take that cover off on this early get-go here is I want to make sure that they're not too long if they're going to come through there and hit that coil, because they caution you about that. If it is, I just put some washers on it, you know. But it's got the roller down here with the little thing in the back there, aspirated part, won't get out of there, so that fits right in this thing right here. And then we'll come around there and look at it sideways, I think. But, so you just put that right in there. Seemed to fit quite easily. And I'm going to put that topping in just a few threads there to hold it upright straight. And then the bottom one I'm going to put in there and see how much sticking through I got. Them looks awful long right there. And about a half inch spacer was required there. 2 nuts out of the bin over there. Those 2 bolts in the back. And per the instructions, and I agree, let's hook up now. And that's for the reason you don't want to spray a stray spark going anywhere. And, you know, everything figured out about, well, it's the same. This ain't been moved, you know, that's good. So, it's a 6-volt battery that we're going to use, and I got a 12 volt, two 6 volts hooked together, so I'm just going to use half of that for the battery. But I'm not going to hook this up just now. Let's just lay that aside. Let's go through the motion here and see where we far at in relationship to the timing. And the timing mark right here is right there. It's marked on that right there, really good. So and it lines up with this square push rod right here. That's where you time that. When that comes around like that right there, and that mark right there, that word spark, is in line with the kind of top of that right there, it's in time. We'll go through the, let's hold this intake in for easy turning. Come back. It's coming back to ignite the next way around. That's what stroke it's on. So when spark gets right here, this should trip off. Okay, right there's the word spark, and it didn't trip. It tripped then. Okay, let's revisit this and see about this. Where do they spark at? Okay, let's do it again. Okay, now at this point right here, this spark is pulling the lever downward, and according to the instructions, I think this is where somebody might, you might spend a little extra time there. And I've actually built a couple of EK type alternatives that actually work. Used a whole different concept in this right here, the whole different. But it says adjust the engine drive so actuator lever rotates only enough to depress that pin and then snap back. So let's see at what point does it depress it. Okay, I think this was pretty much, it depressed. Okay, now it don't ignite until that releases. Let's see. And then snaps back to the home position when the latch slips off the latch block. Okay, I think it should have slipped off right then. It's the tension on this spring, and they do talk about that in there, I think. So, you know what? I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to give that a try. Says always disconnect the battery before adjusting, you know, and all that. Some high voltage here, there, 6 volt only. Remember that. And the wiring diagram on it, which even on the test machine, you know, I questioned it early on, but it's quite, it's talked about in here everywhere. The black wire is the positive on this right here. So I'm going to put this on that positive right there. And the other end of it, I'm going to put on that half of that 6-spoke coil. Now we'll be good to go now. Let's just give it a try. You know, you never know. So I think to go through the same procedure as I did on the other one, which was raise this up, stick my finger in here for that one turn to suck up some fuel. Let's just try that. This is up. In order to get past to that diaphragm in that mud pump there, you got to have things working right on the other end. And y'all look at this. That's that spark box on there, right? And you know what I can truthfully say, that this right here with the bolt on, that was as near of a bolt on installation as I can get. I don't think a factory bolt on would have been any more. But I'll show you something. To change the tone of the exhaust, actually the timing, you'll raise up on that little lever right here. I'll show you something. Right there. That one of them Hercules economy there, running on a spark box. Now they made this out there in Wellman, Iowa. And the battery source for me is this. That's 2 6-bolts right there that's kind of taped together. I'm only using half of it there. No need for 12 volts there. And I am gonna, well, let's just do it right now. I'm gonna test for see if that coils are heating up like the paperwork said. Was a real nice letter come along with this instruction sheet. Now let's look at that coil. To me. it's supposed to be run, you just put that lever down like that. See, it's it does change where the spark occurs onto the flywheel. I'm gonna put the back side of my finger on the oil. But I can truthfully report no temperature on that coil right there. It's actually cool to the touch. Well, this actually works for sure. I give it a 100% thumbs up, because this is all you can ask out of an ignition system, is to run the engine, and it does do that quite well. Okay, let's shut it down. You got a switch on the back of the box right there. You push it in, it just should come to a halt. No spark produced. That's pretty neat. Okay, let's see how it starts back. This goes up, push that back in. I want some fuel up there because I don't want to be fooling around. They advertise this thing right here in Gas Engine magazine. That's a good item right there. I think the market needed that option. Thumbs up. Shut her down for an evening. Close the oiler. Comment was, how you start one of them hit-and-miss engines? You know, what's the sequence of events? In a nutshell. But first, this wire right here, if you was going to put this spark box on this engine here permanently, could be shortened, you know, even around to that much. Could be routed behind and come out here, short cable as such. So, but this is the size for a NIM, so I want to maintain this length. Good and tight fit. Also, the battery wire here, the wire going to the battery, is it's quite long. A battery box could be incorporated into the cart down there out of sight, and in turn this cable could be run down through yonder quite inconspicuously. You wouldn't know it was in there almost. So actually you can put that battery down there with a little plug-in and a wall charger, and it would function quite well, I would think. So it seems to be quite user-friendly. And you know, I forget every time, so you know, I'm always one for the paperwork to go with something. Be sure to read this instructions from page 1 to page all of them, and observe what it says to do with it. If you do not use it as intended, you probably won't have much success with it. The black wire is positive. Remember that. That's just standard wiring, which would go on to the battery positive and the ground using a 6-volt battery. Good tight terminals. Don't let that be the excuse of your engine not starting. Everything's tight. Retard lever up on this particular model. The fuel setting, and I kind of discovered this after as I'm looking at it there, thinking about I ought to put me a mark on it. There is a mark right here. And I have noticed if I bring it to where that mark is visible on this side of the pointer, seems to be the correct setting. I've kind of found out, and I think it's because the length of that there fuel pipe is so long down in there, and the weight of that check ball in that check valve, it does take a little choke to get that initial charge of fuel up there. Easy way being for it to do that is to bring it around, depress the intake valve, bring your crankshaft up there about halfway, stick your finger in there, and you got gas. Then you should start. You know, that's right there just about good as I can do. So I think the battery box, that spark box, I think a battery box project will be in the future there, to build a little wood box, put that battery up underneath that part there out of the way. Not this particular one, I don't think. No, let's put the EK back on and run this engine with the original engine. Yeah, okay, let's shut it down and put that original EK back on there. Twist the little on and off button in the back. Now let's change them out. Disconnect that battery. 1/2-inch wrench. Disconnect the spark plug wire. Remove the 2 mounting bolts, but first I'll show you something. Always when you're working on that, find your place of common ground right there when when it's not cocked and it's not putting your magneto in your spark box in a bind in this case. And it's not, it's free, it's no tension. And just remove it from this. And this is not, the mechanism in itself is completely different, but this bird beak thing right here is not unlike a McCormick Deere & M. And you don't want any paint on this right here And there is bare threads in there, so we're good to go there. But, and you can see the contact on the roller there where that, yeah, okay, you can see it in there, the impression here. You know, I give that a thumbs up. So I'm gonna put this little alignment right back in there so I don't lose that. And what I used there was two of them. I used two of them. Oh, that's them two head bolts off, something off something else. Let's put that EK back on there. EK, the one that just came off of it. Line it up down there in the bottom. Do a little slide in thing. And then put your bolts in from the back, leaving the spacers off, and they cleared before, so they should clear again. And you know, you can attempt to manipulate this magneto all you want to, and in some cases it does help to rock it forward or back. But in this case right here, I'm just going to leave it like it is right there and tighten it up. I'm not going to try to manipulate the position of it at this point. Good, snug, tight, for sure. I do need a little better spark plug wire, and I got intentions of putting a better one on there at some point in time. But you know, it's just the romance of it, you know, just the romance of it. So everything lined up, loose and good to go. Let's start the engine up. Same procedure every time. Up. Choke. Engine should start. I think we probably ought to go paint the wheel bar.